In the year 2147, humanity had finally cracked the code of interstellar travel. The galaxy was no longer a distant dream, but an ever-expanding frontier teeming with mysteries and wonders. Among those who ventured into this new world was Captain Nolan Hayes, a rugged human soldier known for his sharp wit and even sharper aim. Nolan wasn't your typical hero. He didn't have chiseled features or a tragic backstory, just a knack for getting himself into trouble and somehow finding his way out. Nolan's current assignment took him to the planet Veora 7, a shimmering jewel in the cosmos famed for its crystalline forests that refracted light into dazzling rainbows. But beneath its beauty lay danger. Reports of hostile factions and strange energy anomalies had drawn Earth's military forces here. His team's mission was simple on paper: scout the area, gather intel, and avoid conflict if possible. Of course, nothing about space exploration ever went as planned. On their third day on Veora 7, Nolan found himself sitting by a makeshift campfire under two moons casting soft silver light over the alien landscape. He was polishing his rifle while cracking jokes with his squad mates. "You know," he said, leaning back against a fallen crystal tree trunk, "I fought off plasma beasts, dodged laser fire from rogue drones, and survived more dropship crashes than I care to admit. But one question keeps me up at night. Will anyone even marry me?" The group erupted in laughter, some shaking their heads at his absurdity. Lieutenant Mara Cole, his second-in-command, smirked. "Hayes, you couldn't commit to breakfast cereal, let alone a spouse." "Ouch," Nolan replied, clutching his chest dramatically. "That hurts, Cole. Real deep." Their banter was interrupted by a low hum that seemed to vibrate through the ground. Everyone froze, weapons instinctively raised. From the shadows of the glowing forest emerged a figure unlike anything they'd seen before. She stood tall and regal, her skin shimmering like liquid gold under the moonlight. Her eyes were pools of violet, reflecting wisdom far beyond her apparent years. Long hair cascaded down her back in waves of silken strands that glowed faintly, as though infused with starlight. It was clear she wasn't entirely human, or perhaps not human at all. "Whoa," Nolan whispered, lowering his weapon slightly. "If we're being invaded, can we at least get names first?" The woman tilted her head, studying him with curiosity. When she spoke, her voice carried a melodic cadence, each word dripping with grace. "You are amusing." Not many would jest when faced with the unknown. "Well," Nolan shrugged nonchalantly, though his heart raced. "Humor helps keep things interesting. Plus, it distracts people from noticing how terrified I actually am." A small smile tugged at her lips. "I am Princess Lara of the Veoran dynasty. My kind has watched your species for some time now. You are brave, reckless, and surprisingly resilient." Before anyone could respond, Lara stepped closer, her gaze locking onto Nolan. There was something magnetic about her presence, as though gravity itself bent to accommodate her movements. "Your question earlier intrigued me," she murmured softly, her tone almost playful. "Will anyone even marry me?" Nolan blinked, caught off guard. Yeah, it was just a joke, to lighten the mood." Lara tilted her head again, her expression unreadable. Then, with a mischievous glint in her eyes, she leaned in slightly and whispered, "Maybe me." For a moment, time seemed to stop. The air grew heavy, charged with electricity. Nolan's jaw dropped, his witty retorts abandoning him completely. His brain scrambled to process what had just happened. Had an alien princess, a literal princess, just flirted with him? In front of his entire squad? Did you just say what I think you said?" he stammered, pointing a finger at her like it might ward off reality. Her smile widened, revealing teeth that sparkled faintly in the dim light. "Perhaps. Or perhaps I enjoy seeing you flustered." The rest of the squad exchanged bewildered glances, unsure whether to laugh, cheer, or prepare for imminent doom. Mara cleared her throat loudly. "Captain, permission to intervene before you accidentally start a diplomatic incident?" But Nolan barely heard her. His mind was racing, trying to reconcile the fact that he was standing face-to-face with someone who looked like she belonged in a painting of celestial beings, and she'd essentially propositioned him. This wasn't supposed to happen. Soldiers didn't end up on the radar of alien royalty. That sort of thing only happened in bad sci-fi movies. "Okay," he managed after an awkward pause, rubbing the back of his neck. "Let's rewind for a second. Are you messing with me? Because if so, great prank. A plus execution. But if you're serious," he trailed off, gesturing vaguely between them. "This is a lot to unpack." Lara laughed, a sound akin to wind chimes swaying in a gentle breeze. Relax, human. I do not expect an answer immediately. Consider it an invitation to explore possibilities. Possibilities, Nolan echoed weakly. Right? Got it. As surreal as the encounter felt, there was no denying the chemistry crackling between them. Something about her confidence and effortless charm drew him in, leaving him equal parts intrigued and intimidated. And yet, despite the absurdity of the situation, he couldn't help but feel a flicker of excitement. After all, how often did a guy like him get swept up in something so extraordinary? Over the next few days, Nolan's life became a whirlwind of confusion, wonder, and occasional panic attacks. Lara appeared frequently, seemingly materializing out of thin air whenever the squad least expected it. Each visit left Nolan more disoriented than the last. One moment, she'd be discussing advanced Veoran technology with an air of detached professionalism. The next, she'd casually ask him about Earth customs, her violet eyes sparkling with genuine interest. She's totally into you, Lara teased during one such encounter, nudging him with her elbow. Admit it, you're loving this. Loving what? Nolan shot back, though his flushed cheeks betrayed him. The part where I'm constantly questioning my sanity? Or the fact that every conversation feels like walking through a minefield? Lara chuckled. Both, probably. To make matters worse or better, depending on how you looked at it. Lara seemed determined to integrate herself into their mission. She claimed it was to ensure mutual understanding between humans and Veorans, but Nolan suspected she enjoyed watching him squirm. During one particularly tense standoff with a local faction, she stepped in without hesitation, her commanding presence instantly diffusing the situation. Watching her negotiate with the hostile group left Nolan awestruck and slightly jealous. How does she do that? He muttered to Lara afterward. She makes diplomacy look easy. That's because she's royalty, Lara replied dryly. And also possibly magical. Did you see the way she calmed everyone down? It was like she hypnotized them. I'm starting to think marrying her might not be such a bad idea, Nolan joked half-heartedly, earning a snort from Lara. You realize she's basically offering you a fairy tale ending, right? All you have to do is say yes. Yeah, except fairy tales usually involve curses, evil stepmothers, or dragons breathing fire down your neck. What's the catch here? But even as he joked, Nolan couldn't ignore the growing connection between them. Conversations that started as formal exchanges gradually turned into heartfelt discussions about their respective worlds. Lara spoke fondly of Veora 7's history, its culture, and its people, painting vivid pictures of festivals bathed in bioluminescent lights and ceremonies conducted beneath twin suns. In return, Nolan shared stories of Earth, its quirks, its challenges, and its resilience. He described bustling cities, quiet countrysides, and the chaotic beauty of humanity's imperfections. You must miss it, Lara said one evening as they sat together near the edge of a crystalline lake. The water shimmered with hues of blue and green, mirroring the stars above. Sometimes, Nolan admitted, but honestly, being here, it's like stepping into another dimension. Everything's so different, so alive. Kind of makes you appreciate the little things back home. Lara nodded thoughtfully. Different worlds, yet similar desires. We both seek connection, purpose, belonging. She paused, turning to look at him. Do you believe fate plays a role in our lives? Nolan hesitated, caught off guard by the sudden shift in tone. Fate? I don't know. Maybe. Why? Her gaze softened, tinged with vulnerability. Because meeting you feels significant, as though the universe intended it. He swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. Before he could formulate a coherent reply, a loud crash echoed in the distance, followed by shouts from his squad. Both leapt to their feet, adrenaline surging. What now? Nolan groaned, grabbing his rifle. Lara placed a hand on his arm, her touch surprisingly warm. Stay close. Whatever is coming, we face it together. And with that, the fragile peace shattered as chaos erupted once again, pulling them deeper into a web of intrigue, danger, and destiny. The source of the commotion quickly revealed itself. A group of armored figures advancing through the crystalline forest, their weapons trained on Nolan's squad. They weren't locals this time. They were mercenaries, humans clad in sleek black exosuits adorned with insignias unfamiliar to Nolan. Their leader, a burly man with a scar running across his cheek, stepped forward, his voice booming through a speaker embedded in his helmet. "Stand down, soldiers," he commanded. "We're here for the artifact, not bloodshed. Hand it over and we'll leave peacefully." Nolan exchanged a glance with Lara, whose expression had darkened. "What artifact?" he asked cautiously, gripping his rifle tighter. The mercenary sneered. "Don't play dumb. The energy core buried beneath this planet, it belongs to us. If you interfere, you'll regret it." Before Nolan could respond, Lara stepped forward, her golden aura intensifying. "This planet is sovereign territory. You have no claim here." The mercenary barked a laugh. "Sovereign? To whom? Your pretty little dynasty? Don't make me laugh. We're taking what we came for." Tension crackled in the air as both sides prepared for a confrontation. Nolan glanced at his squad, silently communicating their readiness to defend themselves. But before anyone could act, Lara raised her hands, and a pulse of energy radiated outward, knocking several mercenaries off their feet. The remaining ones fired their weapons, bolts of plasma sizzling past Nolan's head as he dove for cover. "Guess that answers whether she's on our side," he shouted to Mara, who was already returning fire. The battle escalated rapidly, the once peaceful forest now a cacophony of explosions and shouts. Lara moved like a force of nature, deflecting plasma bolts with gestures that seemed almost casual. Her powers were awe-inspiring and terrifying. Nolan couldn't help but marvel at her abilities, even as he ducked behind a jagged crystal formation, narrowly avoiding a lethal shot. "Hayes, focus!" Mara yelled, tossing him a fresh power cell for his rifle. "We need to flank them." "Flank them? With what army?" Nolan retorted, reloading his weapon. "We're outnumbered 3-1. But Lara's intervention proved decisive. With a final surge of energy, she created a barrier of shimmering light that trapped the mercenaries in place. Their panicked cries filled the air as they struggled against the invisible force holding them captive. "It's over," Lara declared, her voice cold and unyielding. "Leave now, or face consequences you cannot imagine." The mercenaries didn't argue. Once released, they retreated hastily, disappearing into the forest. Silence fell once more, broken only by the ragged breathing of Nolan's squad. "Well," Nolan said, brushing dust off his uniform, "that was fun." Mara rolled her eyes. "Fun? You call nearly getting vaporized fun?" Before Nolan could respond, Lara approached, her demeanor calm but visibly shaken. "They will return," she warned. "This was merely a scouting party. Others will come, stronger and better equipped." "And why exactly are they after this artifact?" Nolan asked, frowning. "What's so special about it?" Lara hesitated, then sighed. "It is a relic of immense power, a fragment of the Starforge, an ancient device capable of reshaping reality itself. Its existence has been kept secret for millennia, but whispers of its location have spread. If it falls into the wrong hands..." She didn't need to finish. The implications hung heavily in the air. Nolan ran a hand through his hair, suddenly feeling the weight of the universe pressing down on him. "Great, just great. So not only am I dealing with intergalactic politics and alien marriage proposals, but now I've got cosmic MacGuffins to worry about too." Lara gave him a small, weary smile. "Life rarely follows a predictable path, does it?" "No kidding," Nolan muttered. "All right, here's the plan. We find this artifact before anyone else does, secure it, and figure out how to keep it safe." "Agreed." His squad nodded, though their expressions ranged from grim determination to outright skepticism. Lara placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch grounding him. "You may mock fate, but it seems determined to weave us together. Whether you accept it or not, our destinies are intertwined now." Nolan opened his mouth to protest, but the words caught in his throat. For all his sarcasm and bravado, he couldn't deny the truth in her statement. The line between duty and personal connection had blurred, leaving him uncertain of where one ended and the other began. As they prepared to move out, Nolan glanced at Lara, her radiant form glowing softly in the twilight. Whatever lay ahead, one thing was certain. Life among the stars was never going to be boring. The journey to locate the artifact became a test of endurance and trust. The crystalline forests of Veora, 7, once breathtakingly beautiful, now felt like a labyrinth designed to confound them at every turn. With each step deeper into the alien wilderness, Nolan and Lara found themselves relying on one another more than ever before. Their bond grew stronger, not just through shared danger, but through quiet moments when words weren't necessary. One evening, as they set up camp near a shimmering waterfall that cascaded upward due to some peculiar gravitational anomaly, Nolan finally broke the silence. "You know," he said, poking at the glowing embers of their fire, "I've been thinking about what you said earlier, about fate." Lara looked up from where she sat, her violet eyes reflecting the dancing flames. And maybe there's something to it." He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "I mean, I'm not exactly the guy who believes in destiny or whatever, but meeting you, it doesn't feel random. Like, we're supposed to be here together for a reason." Her expression softened, though a hint of skepticism lingered. "Even if that reason involves risking our lives for an ancient relic?" Nolan chuckled dryly. "Yeah, well, saving the galaxy has its perks, right? Besides, I figure if anyone can handle this mess, it's us." For the first time since they'd met, Lara laughed. A genuine, unrestrained sound that echoed off the crystalline cliffs surrounding them. "You are truly remarkable, Captain Hayes. Most would crumble under such pressure, yet you face it with humor and resolve." "Don't sell yourself short," Nolan replied, his tone light but sincere. "If it weren't for you, we'd probably all be plasma ash by now. So thank you for everything." They shared a long look then, one that carried unspoken promises and questions neither was ready to voice. As much as Nolan tried to rationalize their connection, alien princess meets human soldier, it defied logic. Yet it felt real, more real than anything he'd experienced before. Their progress toward the artifact's location was interrupted by another twist: betrayal within their own ranks. Early one morning, while the squad rested, Mara approached Nolan with grim news. "It's Jenkins," she whispered urgently, referring to one of their junior officers. "He's been communicating with those mercenaries, selling intel." Nolan froze, his mind reeling. Jenkins had always seemed dependable, even likable. How could he betray them? "Are you sure?" he asked, though deep down he already knew the answer. Mara nodded, holding out a datapad displaying intercepted transmissions. "Caught him red-handed. What do you want to do?" Before Nolan could respond, Lara appeared beside them, having overheard the exchange. Her golden aura flared faintly, signaling her anger. "This cannot go unpunished. If he is willing to endanger us all for greed, he must be dealt with." "No," Nolan said firmly, surprising even himself. "We don't kill our own. Not unless there's no other choice." "What alternative do you propose?" Lara demanded, her voice sharp. "He will lead them straight to us. We confront him," Nolan decided. "Give him a chance to explain himself. Maybe there's more to it than we realize." Reluctantly, Lara agreed, though her distrust of Jenkins was palpable. When confronted, Jenkins confessed under duress. He'd been coerced, his family back on Earth threatened by the mercenaries. The revelation left the squad divided. Some argued for leniency, others for punishment. In the end, Nolan made the call to keep Jenkins alive but confined him to close supervision. "You're too soft," Lara told him later, her tone laced with frustration. "Mercy can be a weakness." "Not always," Nolan countered. "Sometimes it's strength. Besides, holding on to anger won't help us find the artifact, or stop whoever's after it." She studied him intently, as if seeing him in a new light. "Perhaps you're right. Your species is complex." "That's one way to put it," Nolan quipped, earning a reluctant smile from her. As they pressed on, the challenges only intensified. The terrain grew harsher, filled with jagged cliffs and fields of unstable energy crystals that exploded without warning. Supplies dwindled, tempers flared, and the weight of their mission bore down on everyone. Yet, through it all, Nolan and Lara continued to lean on each other, their partnership evolving into something neither had anticipated. During one particularly grueling stretch, when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm them, Lara revealed a secret she'd kept hidden. The Starforge fragment wasn't merely a relic, it was alive. A sentient entity tied to the fabric of the universe itself, capable of granting immense power but also catastrophic destruction. "My ancestors sealed it away for a reason," she explained, "to prevent it from falling into unworthy hands." "So why didn't you tell us sooner?" Nolan asked, frustration creeping into his voice. "I feared how you might react," she admitted. "Humans are unpredictable. I needed to be certain of your intentions." "Well, thanks for trusting me eventually," he muttered, though his irritation faded quickly. "Look, I get it. You're protecting your people. But keeping secrets isn't helping us work together. You're right, she conceded softly. I should have trusted you from the start. That admission marked a turning point in their relationship. From then on, they communicated openly, sharing fears, hopes, and strategies. It wasn't just practical, it was personal. They began finishing each other's sentences, anticipating each other's moves in combat, and finding comfort in the simplest gestures, like a reassuring touch or a shared glance. The final leg of their journey brought them to the heart of the crystalline forest, a massive cavern illuminated by an ethereal blue glow. At its center floated the Starforge fragment, suspended in midair as if defying gravity. Its surface pulsed with energy, radiating warmth and power. But they weren't alone. The mercenaries had arrived, led by none other than Commander Rennick, a notorious warlord known for his ruthlessness. "Hand it over," he growled, his scarred face twisted into a sneer. "Or watch your friends die." Nolan stepped forward, shielding Lara instinctively. "You really think you can control something like this? It'll destroy you." Rennick laughed darkly. "Let it try. Power comes to those brave enough to take it." A tense standoff ensued, with both sides unwilling to back down. Just as it seemed violence was inevitable, the Starforge fragment reacted violently, emitting a blinding flash of light. When the glare subsided, a holographic figure materialized, a being of pure energy, humanoid yet otherworldly. "Who dares disturb my slumber?" it intoned, its voice resonating like thunder. Nolan glanced at Lara, who looked equally stunned. "Well," he muttered, "this just got interesting." With the Starforge awakened, alliances would shift, truths would come to light, and the true nature of their bond would be tested in ways neither could foresee. The holographic figure loomed above them, its form shifting like liquid light. Its presence was overwhelming, radiating both awe and terror. The cavern seemed to shrink under its gaze, the air thick with an almost unbearable tension. "I am Etherean," the entity declared, its voice echoing as though it came from everywhere at once. "Guardian of the Starforge fragment. Speak your purpose, mortals, or face annihilation." Commander Rennick stepped forward, his arrogance undiminished despite the ominous display. "We seek the power of the Starforge," he bellowed, raising a fist. "With it, I will reshape the galaxy in my image." Etherean turned its luminous eyes toward him, and for a moment, silence reigned. Then, without warning, tendrils of energy shot out, wrapping around Rennick and lifting him off the ground. He screamed as the energy probed his mind, searching for truth, or perhaps worthiness. "You are unworthy," Etherean pronounced coldly. With a flicker of light, Rennick was flung backward, crashing into the wall of the cavern. His mercenaries scrambled to aid him, but they were too stunned to retaliate immediately. Nolan swallowed hard, stepping forward cautiously. "Wait!" he called out, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "We're not here to take the Starforge's power. We're here to protect it." Lara moved to stand beside him, her golden aura glowing brighter. "And to ensure it remains safe from those who would misuse it," she added, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Etherean regarded them both intently, its expression unreadable. "You claim guardianship over something you do not fully understand. Why should I trust you?" "Because we've seen what happens when power falls into the wrong hands," Nolan replied, glancing briefly at Rennick's groaning form. "Because we've fought for this planet, for each other, and for the greater good, not personal gain." Lara nodded, adding, "And because we are willing to make sacrifices to protect it, even if it means walking away empty-handed." For a long moment, Etherean was silent, its gaze shifting between them. Finally, it spoke again. "Your words resonate with sincerity, but actions speak louder than words." It extended one shimmering hand toward the Starforge fragment. "Prove yourselves worthy." Without hesitation, Lara stepped closer, placing herself directly beneath the pulsating artifact. She closed her eyes, her body glowing brighter as she reached out with both hands. Energy surged through her, connecting her to the fragment. Her knees buckled slightly, but she remained steadfast. "What is she doing?" Nolan whispered urgently, fear gripping his chest. "She's offering herself as a conduit," Mara answered, watching in awe. "If the Starforge accepts her, it will bind itself to her will." "But that could kill her," Nolan exclaimed, panic rising. Before anyone could stop him, he lunged forward, grabbing Lara's hand. Instantly, the energy coursing through her surged into him as well. Pain seared through his body, every nerve alight with burning intensity. Yet, instead of pulling away, he held on tighter, gritting his teeth against the agony. "Nolan, no," Lara gasped, tears streaming down her face. "You don't have to." "Yes, I do," he interrupted, his voice strained but resolute. "This isn't just your fight anymore. It's ours." Together, they stood linked, their combined strength channeling the raw power of the Starforge. Slowly, the chaotic energy began to stabilize, the blinding light dimming to a soft glow. Ethereum observed silently, its ethereal form rippling with approval. "You have proven yourselves," it said finally. "The Starforge recognizes your unity, your selflessness, and your resolve. From this day forth, it shall remain sealed within this realm, guarded by your bond." As suddenly as it had appeared, Ethereum vanished, leaving behind only the hum of the now dormant artifact. Exhausted, Nolan and Lara collapsed to their knees, still holding onto each other. Their squad rushed to their sides, relief washing over their faces. Days later, after ensuring the mercenaries were captured and the artifact secured, Nolan and Lara stood together on a hill overlooking the crystalline forest. The twin moons cast silver light over the landscape, painting everything in hues of wonder. "So," Nolan began, breaking the comfortable silence, "what happens now?" Lara smiled, her violet eyes twinkling. "That depends on you, Captain Hayes. Will you stay, or return to your world?" He looked at her, then at the breathtaking vista before them. For all its dangers, Veora 7 had become more than just a mission. It was a place where he'd found purpose, courage, and love. And yet, Earth was home, a part of him he couldn't abandon. "I think," he said slowly, "there's room for both, if you're willing to share your stars with me." Her smile widened, radiant and full of promise. Always, as they embraced, the universe seemed to pause, savoring the moment. Two souls from different worlds, bound by fate and forged in fire, had rewritten their destinies. Not just for themselves, but for the countless lives they'd sworn to protect. Years passed, and the bond between Nolan Hayes and Princess Lara of Veora 7 only grew stronger with time. Their shared trials had forged a connection that transcended worlds, species, and even dimensions. What began as an unlikely partnership blossomed into something neither could have imagined. A love so profound it became the stuff of legends. Their wedding was unlike anything either world had ever seen. A cosmic celebration uniting humanity and Veorans in harmony. The ceremony took place beneath the twin moons of Veora 7, surrounded by crystalline forests that shimmered with ethereal light. Human dignitaries mingled with alien nobility, their differences set aside for one unforgettable day. Nolan wore his dress uniform, polished to perfection, while Lara radiated in a gown woven from starlight itself, her golden aura glowing brighter than ever. As they exchanged vows, words spoken not just to each other but to both their peoples, the air seemed to hum with energy, as though the universe itself approved. When Nolan leaned in to kiss his bride, cheers erupted from every corner of the gathering, blending laughter, applause, and even some tears. It wasn't just a union of two individuals. It was a symbol of hope, understanding, and unity across galaxies. Life after the wedding was a whirlwind of adventure and responsibility. Together, Nolan and Lara worked tirelessly to strengthen ties between Earth and Veora 7, ensuring peace and cooperation flourished. They established cultural exchange programs, technological partnerships, and initiatives aimed at protecting the fragile ecosystems of both planets. But amidst their duties as leaders, they also built a life filled with joy and warmth. Children came soon enough, each one a perfect blend of their parents' traits. Their firstborn, Elric, inherited Nolan's quick wit and Lara's radiant charm. He was followed by twins, Lara and Orion, who possessed their mother's violet eyes and their father's mischievous grin. Over the years, more children joined the family, each bringing their unique spark to the household. Raising kids on two different planets presented its own set of challenges. One moment, they'd be navigating Earth's bustling cities, teaching the children about human traditions like holidays and sports. The next, they'd be back on Veora 7, introducing them to bioluminescent festivals and gravity-defying games played among the crystalline trees. Despite the logistical headaches and occasional jet lag, Nolan and Lara wouldn't trade their chaotic yet beautiful life for anything. The kids quickly became local celebrities, adored by both humans and Veorans alike. Elric developed a knack for diplomacy, often accompanying his parents on official visits and charming ambassadors with his wisdom beyond his years. Lara showed an affinity for science, fascinated by the mysteries of the Starforge fragment, which remained safely sealed away under constant guard. Orion, meanwhile, embraced his adventurous spirit, frequently tagging along with his dad on scouting missions or getting into trouble exploring forbidden caves. Through it all, Nolan and Lara balanced their roles as leaders, partners, and parents with remarkable grace. There were days when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm them, but a single glance or touch reminded them why they endured. Their love wasn't just for each other. It extended to their children, their people, and the shared future they were building together. One evening, years later, Nolan found himself sitting on the porch of their home on Veora 7, watching the stars twinkle above. Lara joined him, handing him a cup of steaming tea infused with herbs native to her planet. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the distant laughter of their children playing in the forest. "You know," Nolan said after a while, "I never thought I'd end up here, married to an alien princess, raising a bunch of little intergalactic diplomats." Lara chuckled softly. "And I never imagined I'd fall in love with a sarcastic human soldier who jokes about everything, even his own mortality." "I'm serious," Nolan protested, though his grin betrayed him. "Look at us. We've got this whole blended family, cross-species thing going on. Who would have guessed?" She leaned her head against his shoulder, her voice soft. "Perhaps no one. Or perhaps fate." He groaned playfully. "You're still hung up on that word, huh? It brought us together, didn't it?" she teased, nudging him gently. "Okay, fine," he conceded with a laugh. "Maybe fate deserves some credit, but let's not forget the part where we chose each other. That matters too." They sat there for a while longer, savoring the quiet. Eventually, Lara spoke again, her tone thoughtful. "Do you think our story will inspire others? Humans and Veorans finding common ground through love and trust." Nolan glanced at her, his expression tender. "If it does, then maybe we've already succeeded. Isn't that what this is all about? Bringing people together." Her smile lit up the night. "Yes, and showing them that even the most impossible things can happen if you believe." As the stars shone down on their little family, it was clear that Nolan and Lara had done far more than secure peace between their worlds. They had created something enduring, a legacy of love, courage, and unity that would ripple through generations to come. And somewhere among those twinkling lights, Ethereum watched silently, content in knowing its guardians, and their extraordinary story would forever shine brightly in the tapestry of the cosmos.